Hey y'all, I did not think I was going to make another video today. I am kind of exhausted actually, but I did find something that was very interesting as I was doing my own like astrology research and things like that, and I don't know what to do with my hands. So I'll just put them right here. um, so let's jump into here, and I'm going to make sure I zoom in because I watched the last video and it was not zoomed in very well for y'all. Okay, so here is a very interesting, historically significant transit that is occurring with astrology. And if you don't think that astrology has anything to do with the timing of events, then you're just wrong. Sorry. An astrologer that I follow, Molly McCord, she predicted that there would be an assassination attempt on a world leader, and boom, there was an assassination attempt on Trump using astrology. Okay. And there were a few others anyway. So, um, the reason why I am interested in this Uranus Gemini transit, which all that means is, Uranus is crossing into the Gemini constellation, and it'll be there for 30 degrees, 29.9 degrees or whatever. And that is going to take like 7 years. And Uranus is an outer planet, so it moves much slower, much slower. And so you have to be like older than 84 years old right now in order to understand what happened the last time that Uranus was in Gemini, and what sorts of things happened, and why I think it's very indicative of what is going to happen with cryptocurrencies in general. Now, it's interesting when I started doing the research in the last transit that took place, because it wasn't all just warm and fuzzies. As you'll read here with me, you'll see that it was like kind of yeah, kind of rough. But we'll get into it. So Uranus is a technologically advanced transit when it transits through Gemini. And Gemini is the sign of invention, the birth of idea, the birthing of ideas. It's an air sign, and it's definitely like the sign that births ideas. Gemini and some other sign, which is another air sign, Aquarius. So, even though Aquarius sounds like water, it's an air sign. But, anyways, um, Uranus is a fast acting, which is very, very great for Gemini. Uranus is a very fast acting planet. So, we're going to start seeing some rapid changes, which is why I am now thinking that XRP is not going to pop off until July 7th, because if you see here, it pops in to the Gemini constellation on the 7th, and it stays in the constellation of Gemini. Well, it might be like 4th of July, it pops off a little bit, but it's not going to really go explosive until the 7th. And it stays until November 7th. So now we have our predictions. So the November 11th portal could be where the crash happens in crypto. Just as a This is not financial advice, but this is just an idea, a thought that I have. So Uranus enters Gemini on July 7th, 2025, and stays until November 7th, 2025, a period of about 4 months. It then retrogrades back into Taurus, which is not does not get along with Uranus. Uranus is like, let's do things. And Gemini is like, let's do things. Taurus is like, I no. So Uranus being in Taurus has been a very rough situation. Now Uranus re-enters Gemini on April 26, 2026. Okay, so it it goes retrograde for a period of a few months, 4 or 5 months, whatever, and then it permanently, for the full 29.5 degree or 29.9 degree cycle, it goes into Gemini. And the reason why it goes retrograde is it's just the gravitational things with the planets. So it's not like planets go backwards. It's just that the gravitation of the different planets kind of pull on one another, and so it doesn't really happen like permanently for this full cycle until April. But we're going to get this alt season, and the alt season is going to start here, and it's going to end here, November 7th. But I think that the 1111 portal is where it's going to stop. I think the 4th of July, before July, is actually going to be where it starts. So, but it's like they're front running this date, and they're going to be like post running that date or whatever. So, and then it remains in Gemini, Uranus does, until August 3rd, 2032. How many people have heard Agenda 2032? This is just crazy how, like, all of this. Oh my gosh, it's 222. Whoa. Okay. So make your wishes. Anyways, so how many of y'all have heard like this Agenda 2032 or whatever it is? Like, it's crazy how astrology ties into it. And also, it's very crazy that people like Elon Musk say, "Oh, I don't believe in astrology." No, 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 you're crazy. You're one of those crazy people. But they say that millionaires have accountants and billionaires have astrologers, and I think that they definitely do believe in astrology because they're like, if you have a certain birth chart and you do certain things on certain dates, it's very good to plan accordingly because you you have better chances of succeeding when you do things based off of astrology. So, before exiting Gemini for good, like it's never gonna come around again. It's just gonna be 80 something years again. So whatever. Okay, so my question to Grok was, when was the last time in Gemini? What events around the globe were happening during that time? What sorts of technological advancements were made during that time? What financial changes were occurring during that time? Okay, so this is where it gets sticky, scary. Anyways, the last time Uranus was in Gemini was from August 7th, 1941 to October 4th, 1941. So August 7th to August 4th. So this was maybe the retro before the retrograde period, and then May 15th, 42 to August 30th. Okay, so yeah, there's always a little bit of a retrograde. There's always going to be that thing that happens with the gravity. And briefly, it got a triple dip. And November to June 1949, June 10th, 1949, November 12th, 1948 to June 10th, 1949, spanning roughly 7 years with some retrograde periods in Taurus. This transit coincided with significant global events, technological advancements, and financial changes, largely influenced by World War II and its aftermath. Below is a detailed breakdown based on historical context and astrological insights from the provided references. Okay, so this is where it's like, yikes, are we going to start seeing some? Because, I mean, we're starting to see some pretty weird stuff going on, talking about global conflict. So here we'll get into some of the details. World War II, 1939 to 1945. Wow. So right in that period, the United States entered the war after the Pearl Harbor attack on December 7th, 1941. So it was in Gemini. So there was an attack on December 7th, 1941. So the US just, I mean, this is crazy, but like, didn't we just like blow up Fordo and the other two nuclear enrichment facilities in Iran, and we just that was it. Case closed. We're done. You know, this is crazy because that's kind of, you know, I mean, I guess we did get into more of a war, but um, during Pearl Harbor, but this was a big, like, kind of like it ended. Everything ended, and then after that there was a war. So this, I hope it's not like foreshadowing historic, like, you know, things, whatever. With Uranus still in Taurus but moving into Gemini by May 1942. So that's exactly what is going on. We're still in Taurus right now. When we went to Iran and dropped those bunker busters, that we're still in Taurus right now. Okay, so key events included the Battle of Midway, the D-Day invasion, the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, leading to Japan's surrender on September 2nd, 1945. The war reshaped geopolitical boundaries, established the United States as a superpower, and intensified global ideological divides. Okay, that's number one. Holocaust and heightened divisions. That's number two. Ugh. Okay. But that happened during this time as well. So, that's interesting. This little symbol here is a pyramid. Post-war recovery and Cold War beginnings. Okay, so this is post-Holocaust, post-World War II, post-war recovery and Cold War beginnings. After 1945, so this happened in 1940, this happened in 1945, the world transited into post-war reconstruction. The United States was established the United Nations was established in 1945 to promote global cooperation. The Cold War emerged as tensions between the United States and Soviet Union grew. Oh my gosh. Talk about rumors of more wars, marked by ideological conflicts and the start of the nuclear arms race. So, the United Nations. Okay, I know I'm not the only one who thinks this, but I know that I'm one of the only people that I think have. I don't know of anybody else who's made this argument. There will be less countries on Earth, not because the landmass will disappear, but because they'll merge together. I've been calling this since before Trump, this last particular term. But there will be less countries after this term than there are now. I don't know how many countries there are, like 150, 140, something like that. There's going to be less. And it's kind of interesting that we're talking about Canada being the 51st state. But, you know, and then also Greenland and other places like that. Like that's just with the United States. Look at what Russia's doing. Look at what China's doing, eyeing Taiwan, and like Laos, Cambodia, not Vietnam. Vietnam is like associated with the United States, so it might be a like what is it? Like a jurisdiction or something like that. Maybe it'll be part of the United States. I don't know, but yeah. The United Nations was established, so that's pretty crazy that this happened during that time as well. Crazy. So it's not unlikely to imagine that there will be like a consolidation of countries during this time. Information warfare and propaganda. Wait, did we read all that? Okay, so information warfare and propaganda. The period saw significant use of communication technologies for propaganda and disinformation. What are we seeing today? I mean, don't even go there. Aligning with Gemini's themes of communication and Uranus's disruptive energy, this included radio broadcasts and early forms of media manipulation, setting the stage for modern information warfare. well, there's a lot of arguments saying that AI is going to escalate this so that we don't even know what's true anymore. So I'm like, if we think it's bad right now, it could be much, much, much worse. Astrologically, Uranus and Gemini is associated with revolutions in communication, intellectual shifts, and societal fragmentation. Often, oh my gosh, societal fragment. I'm living proof of societal fragmentation. Often linked to conflict, often linked to conflict. Historical patterns suggest that Uranus and Gemini periods, e.g., the American Revolutionary War, Civil War, oh my gosh, have coincided with wars involving the U.S. through this, though this is not a strict rule for global conflict. But it's interesting. These two wars, not to mention this, the Holocaust and World War II. But there's some good stuff right there. So, okay. Oh, we're getting into the good stuff. Technological advancements, 1941 and 1945. 1949. Uranus and Gemini, with Gemini's rulership over communication, transportation, and innovation, and Uranus's association with breakthroughs drove significant technological progress. Computing and cryptography. This is crazy. I mean, it's like we're doing this all over again. The period saw the development of early computers, such as, so we can just replace early computers with early AI computers or early quantum computers. Like, we're just doing the next level. That's what I'm suspecting. Such as the Colossus 1943, used for code breaking in the United Kingdom. Is that what that one guy used to? And then he was like the gay guy, and the world hated gay people, and we're like going all over again. In advancements in cryptography, notably Alan Turing's work in the Enigma. Oh, that's what it was, the Enigma project machine, which was pivotal in Allied and intelligence efforts. Okay. Computing and cryptography, communication technologies, the proliferation of radio and early television technologies transformed how information was shared globally. The Polaroid camera, invented in 1947, revolutionized photography by enabling instant image development. Cool. That's like, how can we, the Polaroid camera, maybe there's going to be like some kind of like brain computer interface, instant image development, instant like instant like upload. I don't know, but I'm trying to draw too many parallels. But maybe there will be some kind of like visual, like augmented reality, but more. I think that it's going to be more during this time. Aviation and transportation, we're talking about Boom. Isn't it called Boom Aerospace or Boon? I think it is Boom. They're developing the next like not hypersonic, but it's a Mach speed aircraft that replaces that. There was like a decommissioned high-speed aircraft in the 70s that they retired, and there's another one being developed right now. So we're already seeing that. Not to mention Starlink and like point-to-point transportation globally, stuff like this. Pretty cool. Mass airline travel expanded, with commercial aviation becoming more accessible post-war. Innovations in aerospace, including engine development. Oh, engine development is interesting because we are seeing like rocketry engines that are like the Raptor 3, which is very, very advanced. But not only that, we're seeing the development of nuclear propulsion, such as the Rolls-Royce nuclear propelled air like rocket engine. What do you call that? Like a rocket engine, whatever. But yeah, there's other companies that are, including NASA. I think NASA, but NASA doesn't really do too much. RIP SLS. They can't even launch a rocket. But there are other companies like Rolls Royce that are developing, and countries probably that are developing nuclear propulsion for, extended space travel. Lay the groundwork for modern air travel. Okay, so we might be seeing some parallels in this. I'm already seeing it right now, so it might be coming to fruition during this Uranus and Gemini period. Household innovations, the microwave oven. Okay, cool. Nuclear technology. We might be seeing the next round of nuclear development. Not to mention that before Trump was elected, um, Enron. Before Trump was elected, the Enron egg. I know it's a meme, but part of me thinks that this is not a meme. Before he was elected, he talked about the micronuclear plants, and I am like speculating that this is actually going to be something that happens, and they're just trying to do it as a meme. But somebody actually bought Enron. This guy bought Enron, and like they're running with it. Like they're talking about it being like a, a a nuclear power plant for your home. But yeah, I don't know. I do think that like micronuclear is going to be one of the next developments in nuclear technology. Obviously, financial changes. Wartime economy. So yeah, wartime economy. If we go into wartime economy, we're just going to turn on the spending machine. So I think that they're probably like aching and really excited to get into a wartime system. That way, I think I'm not quite sure. Depending on the significance of the war, like that could potentially leave no option but for the Trump to stay in power during the wartime, which would be, in my opinion, to 2032, which is crazy to think about, but it's possible. Wartime economy. The United States and other nations shifted to wartime economies with massive government spending on military production. War bonds and rationing redirected financial resources while industries like manufacturing boomed. Um, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. Like, we've been in this economy for like covertly for a while, but it's possible that we go into it full force and turn on like the money printing machine and just break the system, um, which is the fiat based system, which I don't know. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe we'll see something from Russia and something from China, and it'll force the United States to get into this wartime economic situation, which would then force the war bonds and rationing redirected financial resources and just turning the money printing machine on until it just breaks. And at the same time, moving into crypto and continually moving into crypto. I don't know. It's possible. Post-war economic boom. The GI Bill 1944 provided veterans with access to education, housing, and job training, spurring social mobility and economic growth. However, benefits were unevenly distributed, particularly excluding many black veterans. This led to a surge in college enrollment, 2.2 million veterans, and suburban development. So it doesn't really talk about the remedy. I guess it just never this never got better. Go America. Ugh. Okay, so Bretton Woods Agreement, 1944. This established the United States dollar as the world reserve currency pegged to gold. Okay, so it was pegged to gold during this time. In the 70s, I believe, is when it depegged from gold and when it was became the petrodollar, and created the International Monetary Fund and World Bank. So war is where um, this money borrowing was further, like, the the Federal Reserve, I think, was like really a long time ago, like in the 1914, 1930, no, even before that, like, yeah, early 1900s, early 20th century. And so these additional funds were created. I don't know. These sound like tether to me. They just sound like, okay, we'll lend you this number, and you'll have to pay this number back plus some or whatever. It's just kind of like tether saying, yeah, we're just gonna create more tether. Like, what do you have to back that? There's nothing. It's gonna collapse. Tether will. Reshaping global financial systems and fostering post-war economic stability. So, yeah, but this is false. It's true because we believed it, but I'm not quite sure, where the value came from. It's like, where is there Fort Knox? That's what I'd like to know. Or they just say, okay, we'll lend you money, but you give us land. And then it's like, okay, well, you said it's okay for us to print more money, and we'll give you, like, why did we do that to begin with? Why didn't we just print the money and say, okay, this land is now part of, like, this like RLUSD, like, now it owns this land, as opposed to giving it to an international institution like these guys. But anyways, shift in financial systems. The war and its aftermath saw innovations in financial transactions, including increased use of credit and early forms of digital payment systems, precursors to modern financial technologies. Uranus and Gemini influence and Gemini's influence on financial systems is noted for introducing innovative approaches to wealth management and economic structures, often tied to technological advancements. So that's what I wanted to share with y'all. And I'm curious to know how this is going. Okay, it's going. So this is not financial advice, obviously, but astrology plays a significant role in um, in all of the markets and in the news, like in global events, like geopolitical events. Um, like, you know how, like, people are more on edge during a full moon? Like, there's more traffic jams, there's more tickets, like cops are giving more tickets. Like, you can just kind of talk to police officers, and they'll say, yeah, we give out more tickets during a full moon. That's astrology. Um, so when there are other constellations and other planets at play that have deeper or, like, more slower moving impacts, like, that you don't experience for 80 years or something at a time, then it's a feeling that you don't know very often. Not to mention that each planet is moving independently. Like, so, like, this one might be moving faster and these ones slower. So, like, you don't get these specific alignments, like, all the time. You don't get them, like, once every year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 80 years. Like, some of those alignments don't happen, like, for a long time. Um, Not to mention the fact that Jupiter and Saturn, for example, Jupiter and Saturn are going into Aries briefly, let's see, Jupiter. Um, um, okay. Well, when does Jupiter and Saturn go into Aries in 2026? Because I know it does briefly. Um, oh, maybe it's Jupiter and maybe it's two. Maybe it's Jupiter and something else going into Aries. Which two planets go into Aries in 2026? Saturn and Neptune. Yeah, that's right. February 13th. That's right. Okay. And it's going into Aries again. Um well, it'll be 0 degrees Aries in February. And the reason why this is significant is because the birth of coinage happened during a Saturn Aries, or Saturn and Neptune going into Aries. Um, so the concept of money, coins, handed out for ox or sheep or bread or wheat, and it wasn't just like a daughter for wheat or like a cow for wheat, like it, or water, like access to your well, it was money. Like the concept of money was invented. The last time this happened was like 3,000 years ago, and we're going into Saturn and Neptune are going into Aries, 0 degrees, at in February of next year. So not only are we going to see Uranus in Gemini, but we're going to see Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And that solidifies the birth of a new financial system. In my opinion, I think that's what's going on. So, connection to Uranus and Gemini, discipline to structures, to Aries, bold energy, forming a sextile with Uranus and Gemini and around. Yeah. So, I mean, this was the main thing that I was looking for. I found this in another astrology thing that Stefan Burns was talking about, and I thought that was extremely beneficial, like knowledge to obtain, because that I feel like ties directly into crypto, and it's going into like this retrograde period. I believe it's somewhere on my profile. Um, let's see. It might be on my highlights. I might have. No, I have not. Okay. It's deep down in here. You'll have to scroll for days. But yeah. If you see there's a astrology thing with Stefan Burns, and my talking about what I think is going to happen with astrology, then you'll see it. But I don't think I'm going to stumble upon it. Um, there's my profile picture. But yeah, I um I think that we're going to see something significant happening with money. So the birth of a new financial system is when Saturn and Neptune are in Aries. It's 2 degrees of Aries in July, and then we go it. And then it goes back into a retrograde period, um, and then and it's just for July. I think it's not as long as Uranus and Gemini, because Uranus and Gemini is from July to November. So we'll get a brief period of Saturn and Neptune and Aries. After that, it'll pull back retrograde, and then it'll go back into Aries. And I think that, and so then it crosses, like it becomes 0 degrees in Aries. These two planets, like 0 degrees means that, like, they're just like that. They're just like boom. Like 2 degrees is like what we're seeing right here. So I think that we'll get, and the 0 degrees only happens for, like, you know, a few hours or something like that, and then, or a day or two or five or whatever, and then it keeps going. It's not like it's not like we're going to see 84 years of or we're going to see the full 29.9 degrees of Uranus and Gemini, because that's going to last for years. It'll last from 2026 to 2032. But this Saturn and Neptune is like a thing that sort of wakes people up to a new type of money, and that might be the actual birth of crypto being widely adopted around the globe, and it's all being set in stone right now, which makes sense why all these large institutions, like BlackRock and all of the others, MicroStrategy or just Strategy, is buying up Bitcoin like none other. They're just hedging on, or front running crypto, because they know that crypto is going to be the way, because the fiat system is dead, which makes me believe that they're going to adopt it in 2026, but they're going to turn the money printing machine on in like a wartime situation, to just, like, totally, like, get as much of the debt on the books as possible before it all just explodes. And I've heard this before. It's called a boom up. It's like when every system breaks, everybody just loads up on debt, and they know it's going to break, so they just say, just load up on debt. So, but yeah, that's what I had to share with y'all, because this is all so interesting to me. And I think that if you're into crypto, this should be interesting to you as well, because it ties into all of this stuff so significantly. So that's what I had to say. Sorry, it was a little bit of a long-winded situation, but I just wanted to make sure I kind of got everything out, and I just wanted to make sure I got everything out. So, anyways, not financial advice, and thank you all for taking the time to listen to this, and I wish you all a wonderful evening. It's like 3 in the morning. Bye.